Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me for a brand new year of Q&A is the Bumble co-host, Kyle JCRB Kraus.
We made it. We crossed over that threshold into 2021, and now we're here. So what fresh hell will this year unleash upon us all? Nobody move. Everybody be real calm, real still. Don't wake it up. Don't freak it out. We don't need what happened last year to get any worse and start going crazy again. Just calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Anyway. Hi, Ian. How are you doing?
Hi, Kyle. I'm all right. I was going to say, as bad as 2020 was, and there's no argument there, it wasn't a bad year for the BumbleKast, because by the end of it, we broke 1,300 subscribers. Welcome, all you new listeners. Holy crap.
Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
We switched up the format a little bit to be something that folks seem to enjoy a lot more. We've had some great questions. We've gotten more patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast. Everybody is welcome. And big shout out to new patron Blue Mickey Mouse, who has done most of the grunt work to get the Q&A master list put together for us. We just need to put some final touches on it, but it just goes to show that if you procrastinate long enough, someone will do the job for you.
It's true. It's true. I was like, they wanted to copy and paste all of the Q&A into a giant document. I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. We already started kind of doing that. You want to do it? And they did it. And it's like, holy crap. Wow. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, I look forward to that here soon. So
yeah, just got to put a couple like keyword search final touches on it, and that'll be ready to go. And we get to change up our spiel at the beginning of the show. So thank you very much, Blue Mickey Mouse. You are awesome.
Yes, you are very awesome. Thank you. We will be making great use of that, and we will be sharing it with all of you soon. So you'll be able to go through and search and see if your question's been asked before, and find the answers pretty easily.
Now, if you want your question answered on the show and added to that masterful list, email us at bumblecast@yahoo.com, tweet to us at BumbleKast. If you are a patron, post pretty much anywhere on the Patreon site. If you're listening to us on YouTube, comment on any old video. If you want to get your question answered sooner rather than later, become a priority patron over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, or send us 2 coffees at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/BumbleKast. Be sure to include your name or question so we know what you're giving us money for. Otherwise, we'll just happily take it and run off into the sunset. If the question has been answered on one of the recent episodes, if it's covered on one of the FAQs over at bumbleking.com, or if it deals with stuff that would have happened in the Archie series had it continued, we're not going to touch upon it because it's either already been answered or we can't talk about it just yet. So, with that good old spiel out of the way, let's get into the priority Q&A, Kyle.
We've had a lot of new listeners. We've had a massive influx of new people listening to the show and commenting and sending in questions. Thank you for that. It's very much appreciated. Just know that we get a lot of questions, and we're getting a lot more now. So if we don't answer your question, it's nothing personal. If we don't ever get around to it, it's nothing personal. You didn't do a bad thing. You're not a bad person. It's just we get a lot of questions, and I'm the one doing most of the curating work. So bear with us, and hopefully we'll get to your question eventually if it doesn't fall under one of these guidelines. So yeah. just bear with us and understand that the amount of questions we're getting is quite a few. So,
which is great because the show meet has content. Then
exactly. So, without further ado, though, let's go ahead and jump right into the priority Q&A, starting off with Diane W. If you were given the chance to write an episode or comic issue of a Sonic animated show or Sonic IDW comic that deals with serious real-life issues, what would it be, and how would you handle it?
There's always the temptation to have a very special episode in the media that you love, but I feel like that is a trap.
Especially for Sonic.
Yeah, I want to avoid it as much as possible. There is a debate to be had over using mediums that are accessible to children to give them an outlet for bad situations. I mean, a lot of people make fun of the old Adventures of segment where Sonic addresses sexual harassment and says, that's no good. But at the same time, if you're dealing with children who have no context for what is going on in their lives, that might be the avenue they need to break out and say something or seek help. There was an article I read years ago about a fellow who professionally dresses as Spider-Man and appears at rehabilitation centers for children and such. And just something about having the superhero show up and say that it's okay to have an issue, it's okay to seek help, would cause breakthroughs in some of these children. And it doesn't make any sense to me logically, but then again, I'm also not a child having gone through a traumatic experience. So in that regard, I think there is an opportunity and an avenue and a reason to do such a thing. On the other hand, this is not my property, and it's not my place really to try to use someone else's material to get up on my soapbox and say something. I think it's better to fold the virtues that you want to see in the world into the narrative itself, rather than dedicate like a single episode to drugs are bad, okay? I feel like that's patronizing. I feel like it derails what's going on, and I feel like most watchers are savvy enough to realize that they are being lectured, and it just does not work. Truth be told, I remember the old, late 80s, early 90s. They got a whole bunch of licensed cartoon properties to come together to, convey the idea that drugs are bad. And you had like Alvin and the Chipmunks and Bugs Bunny and Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it was like Cartoon All-Stars something.
Yeah, and I learned more about narcotics through that episode than I ever would have in my daily life.
Yeah.
They taught me about the marijuana. So, with Sonic, he lives in an ideal world where bullies are confronted and beaten, and people look after one another for the most part. And that right there sets an ideal that I think we should all kind of strive for. And it doesn't have to be put forefront and center. Oh
yeah, I agree. Don't lecture me. I just want to watch Blue Hedgehog do things.
Now, I'm not going to say that I've done so much Sonic that my personal worldview hasn't colored it somewhat. I don't think it's possible.
No.
To completely remove yourself from it.
That's impossible. Yeah.
I'm not setting out to make a particular statement.
Right.
And I feel like if you're going to address a serious issue like drug dependency or the gun crisis in the States or what have you, a very special episode is not sufficient. And you're putting out a question that's so large that you can't really address it.
Right.
Like if Sonic resolves it in that one issue, huzzah for Sonic, that completely undercuts the severity of the issue in the real world and becomes, I don't know, kind of pandery. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Short version, I don't like it. Not a good idea. Not going to do it.
Next up, we got a question from AwesomeCakester. What would it look like to see a new Sonic animated short if SEGA and Tyson Hesse were to make another one to add to the 3 they've already done?
I'm sure it would be.
Are you Tyson Hesse or SEGA, Ian? Or maybe it's what would you like to see in a new...
I would like to see anything and everything, to be perfectly honest. I would love to see more Sonic Mini Adventures. I'd love to see them take a crack at something modern. It's Tyson overseeing a Sonic project. You have me sold right there.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, not to genuflect so hard in front of the good Mr. Hesse, but the man is incredibly talented, and I adore what he does when he does Sonic stuff. So if you have Tyson attached, I'm sold. I'm done. It doesn't matter. Cooking with Sonic. Sonic takes a nap under a tree. He'll make it hilarious somehow or the other. I'm done. I'm sold. I'm good.
I would love to see like a full cartoon in the style of Sonic Mania Adventures. You might have to start voicing the characters, but that's a thing you can work with. Perhaps. I'm pretty much open to anything, though. I think it would be awesome to have all that stuff.
I don't know. I think you could maintain a Mania series if they were shorts.
Right.
Like they were doing before. I don't think it needs to be any more in depth than that. Keep it kind of
true,
light, silly, almost Pink Panther-esque, gags.
Yeah. Incorporate more of the classic era stuff in there, and bring back the hooligans and Honey and all that other good stuff. All right. Next one we have from Hedgewolf23. Will the Freedom Fighters, Sally, Antoine, Bunnie, Rotor, Nicole, Chuck, Ben, etc., if somehow you guys were given permission to put them in with a fresh coat of paint into the IDW Comics, who would you know for a fact to not be included from this list? If I remember correctly about the mandates, there aren't any new familial ties allowed, for instance, creating a parent for Sonic, but I could be wrong. Another question is about the mandates. If you could remove them, what would you add in the new comics, such as familial, romantic, or otherwise?
As for the first part, I have no idea who would be on or off the list. It could be they would only approve Sally back and everyone else is gone forever. It could be we got the entire crew back and, oh my goodness, here's a miniseries starring Griff. I don't know.
What? Okay.
Why did I say Griff? He's awful. Now, Airy could get some mileage. Airy's cool.
You could, yeah, starring Cat, the guy from the one episode that he only ever appeared in and then disappeared and never to be seen again. But everyone acted like they knew who he was. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
I have no context at this point over what would be accessible. So if we ever get word for it, cool, I'll take what I can get. But I'm not going to hold my breath waiting. As for familial relations, that can be worked around. The only one that was really a problem in that regard would be Uncle Chuck. And if he were to come back, we could handle it the exact same way we did it in post-reboot, which is just to say Uncle is a kind of catch-all term of endearment.
Sure.
Everyone calls him Uncle Chuck. He's everybody's uncle.
Yeah.
He isn't necessarily a blood tie to Sonic. Boom, done. Simple. As for if the rules were taken away entirely, there's not a lot that's really getting in my way right now, Shadow aside. I would like to at least address where some of these characters came from. We don't necessarily have to get into the full extended family tree of every single character. And I feel like the parents do kind of bog down the cast. That was one of the issues with pre-reboot that I was kind of glad to see gone in post-reboot. It was a very nice, easy fix for that issue. But I feel like you could at least address it in a way that opens it up, that it makes it free and such. Like, I would like to, for Sonic, for instance, I'd love to take the old manga pair and, say that they are adventurers themselves. They're always on the move, and Sonic, left the nest and is out adventuring himself. And when their paths happen to cross, oh, hey, haven't seen you in forever. It's great to see you. How you been? Oh, this is cool. And then they move about their separate ways. Keep it lighthearted. Keep it within the theme of the series. But romantically, I feel like romance is something that the fandom just cannot handle at all.
And any fandom cannot handle it, to be fair.
Okay, that's fair enough. Just, I'm tired of dealing with it. So, the fandom can launch as many ships as they want. I will watch them sail off into the distance and wave affectionately. But But otherwise, most of the rules that are set in front of us make sense for the franchise, and I've gotten so used to navigating within them, it's kind of hard to say, yeah, okay, fine, toss them away. I'm free now. It's like I know my box. I'm happy in my box.
Yeah.
I understand the confines of this box. Don't take away my training wheels. I don't know, man. It's, for all the talk of the mandates and whatnot, it's both not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be, and it's extremely frustrating as people make it out to be. It really just depends on what we're trying to do with the story and the characters. It's kind of a case-by-case basis. It's not one big blanket, all or nothing, I guess.
Next question comes from Off. Continuing down the line of food-based questions, is Mobians don't eat Mobini/other animals and live off a magic plant-based vegan diet? What about plant-based characters like Cosmo and her species? Would Cosmos get offended if someone ate a salad in front of her? Are Segians okay with eating meat or meat-based products? Are you going to hand-wave my question by saying they all get their nutrients via photosynthesis or something?
Actually, I'm going to duck out of it because I'm going to say I'm not overly familiar with that side of the lore. I did watch season 3 of Sonic X, but most of it was through the French dub and had Aaliyah translating on the fly. So my understanding of it is third hand at best. And I wasn't particularly fond of season 3, so I never really made an effort to dive too deep into it. I did do a little bit of research when I was thinking of, how I might pitch a revised Metarex Saga, but I'd really have to go back in and dig deep before I, formally wrote anything. I would imagine the Seedrians are photosynthesis based, but the males seem to be more reptilian in nature. I don't know if they're as botanical. It's weird. They're weird. It's one of the reasons I don't really like season 3. It's weird. The whole thing is very weird. But, Cosmo herself seems fairly understanding, and we don't get particularly miffed at each other for eating meat in front of other meaty people. Some exclusions apply, of course. So, I don't know. We're all devouring living things. Plants feel pain in their own way.
Yeah. Whatever. Scurvy Pirate Hog is up next. Just for the fun of it, how do you imagine an anti-Mobius/Moebius version of Sonic bad guys to be? The versions of the characters in story, or Scourge good guys as it would be called?
No. Let's not bring Scourge into it because he's off the table. If we're looking at like a true anti-verse of what was in Bad Guys, oh my goodness. So if we're going under that assumption, we're going to keep Eggman as the benevolent veterinarian futurist angle because that translates easy enough. So Starline, by that regard, how to approach him? I guess since regular Starline would be a villainous character who aspires to be more like Eggman and then realizes, no, he's an idiot. I'm going to become my own dude. Anti-Starline would be a good guy who thinks Dr. Eggman is a complete goof at the start, completely incapable of doing anything he sets out to do, and then comes around to realize, oh, no, wait, he is a genius, and I should work with him. That's kind of a wholesome character arc there. Zavok, who is a marauding monster who is bent on destruction, would be all about bringing about good things, like planting trees and helping the homeless and being charitable to a fault, which is so funny to think of. Mimic, who doesn't trust anybody and is a hired gun, would be completely gregarious, I guess naive to a fault. And then Rough and Tumble are still idiots, but instead of seeking only to satisfy themselves, they want to help others, but they're really bad at it and causing trouble.
Okay.
So
let's see. We've got the Deadly Six. I'm seeing here the Deadly Six are Power Rangers.
Dr. Starline's Get Along Sentai Gang.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
When you say rough and tumble like that, I'm thinking of Bulk and Skull now. And Power Rangers. I
guess that's the premise of Sonic Good Guys, is that all of our anti-villains are, anti, you know what I mean? All our inverse villains set out to save the world, and through various means of incompetence end up causing all sorts of trouble.
Yes.
And instead of turning on each other at the very end, they realize that, well, despite all their faults, they still get along really well. So they stay together as a group as the world burns down around them.
Perfect. You've done it. You have done it.
David, if you're listening, I'll be happy to pitch this to
you. Next up, we got a question from Noni. Ian, who was the one who decided that Starline couldn't remain as Eggman's assistant for more time? Sega or you? Is there a chance we could get someone who actually supports Eggman?
Starline's personal journey was something of a group effort between my ideas for him, IDW's editorial direction, and Sega weighing in. My original pitch for his arc was skewed a little differently, and IDW and Sega said, no, let's take it more in the direction that you see today. But ultimately, the goal was always to have him realize that Eggman is not the genius he thought he was, and breaking away from him. In part because it's kind of fun to see that, never meet your heroes moment. And in part because I feel like a lot of the Eggman cronies that turn against him, you never get a really satisfying change. Like, Snively was baked in. That was kind of already there, and they worked backwards to kind of explain it away and revise it. I feel like Grimer kind of was a complete sycophant, and then one issue decided, nope, he's not anymore, and then came crawling back later. I don't feel like we've ever had one arc where you see the whole beginning, middle, and end in a straightforward loop. I will say that we haven't seen the end of it. We've kind of reached arguably the halfway point, maybe 3/4. So Starline's journey is still continuing, but he started out as the fanboy. He had a very hard crash back to reality, and from that he is rebuilding and redefining himself, and now we're going to see what he does with that.
Yeah, I feel like even Orbot and Cubot, or especially Orbot, are like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Even outside of Sonic Boom, Orbot seems to be, I don't know, not quite as loyal as you might think. He's just very sassy, yeah.
We could introduce someone who is 100% Eggman supportive, but what do you do with that?
Yeah.
What are they contributing to the story outside of being a yes man or a lieutenant of some kind? I mean, that can be fun, sure. Thunderbolt was hilarious to work with, but she wasn't a central villain.
Right.
She was kind of a joke character. She showed up for her arcs. She had her gimmick, but she wasn't meant to be particularly deep or investigated. Starline was meant to have, a full character arc. Thunderbolt was more of a token villain, I guess, so to speak. The Egg Army was meant to have, a little bit of personality, so it wasn't just faceless robots the entire time, but they weren't ever designed to be super deep for the most part.
All right. Let's get to the last priority question from Renard Pixel. Hey, Ian. Kyle, too. You're also amazing. Thank you, I guess. It's weird to be called amazing, but thank you.
You are.
I'm not used to that. Longtime reader, recent short time binge watcher. First time asker of questions. How different was it writing for Mega Man compared to Sonic when it comes to getting things approved by Capcom? Were there any major mandates? Spill it.
I feel like Mega Man, comparing the two runs' lifetimes, Mega Man was way easier. Like, I don't remember getting notes almost at all from them until the very end. Part of that is because we stuck very, very close to the source material.
I was going to say, you had a lot of source material to work with that you adapted fairly closely.
Like, with Sonic, especially pre-reboot, it was taking all of the wild and crazy things that had happened when nobody was really paying attention to the book and trying to use them when Sega became much more attentive to their own properties again.
Mm-hmm.
There were some hoops that had to be jumped through. Whereas Mega Man was, here is just Mega Man. Just straight up Mega Man.
Yep.
And Captain was like, cool. Like, I don't think we got any notes on any of the original characters we introduced. Any of the storyline embellishments we took under our belt. The only time we ran into any friction was towards the end with Madam Y and the whole Mr. X conspiracy.
Right, yeah, I remember this.
Where they didn't like the idea of there being an actual Mr. X. So we had to contextualize it as a fake Mr. X. With the intention of revealing the real Mr. X, who was really the fake Mr. X. And we got Madam Y, who was based off of a piece of art in one of the big art books. And she came in like right before Capcom started to be a little tighter on things, because I wanted to bring in Waltz for the Mega Man 4 arc, and they flat out said no. Just straight up no. Which was kind of surprising because it had been nothing but yes up to that point. But, I mean, we would have found a workaround. We would have created something that was Waltz in everything but name and gotten the same effect. And fans would have said, well, why isn't it just Waltz? And it's like, because, yeah. But, no, overall, Capcom was super easy to work with. Even in the Mega Man X stuff, where, I'm trying to build upon the lore a bit. They mentioned a council at one point, the Commission Sigma's building, and invented that, and no notes. Not at all. Of course, they also didn't note that one panel where X and Zero were like tiny, tiny things. No. It was the other way around. They were super huge. That's what it was. The Emerald Spears guys that they grabbed were kind of tiny, and it's like, no, they're average people height. Oh, well, Capcom approved it, so we're just going to roll with it.
Then there was also the whole Vesper Woman, Honey Woman thing.
Oh, right.
Which was very close toward the end. They didn't want you to use Honey Woman.
I think they didn't want us to use the exact unused design. But they were okay that we modified it as our own.
Right.
Which I guess makes a certain degree of sense, because there might be some kind of question of ownership at that point. But
maybe. Yeah.
Overall, Capcom was super chill to work with, and would love to work with them again if they ever wanted to. There's 1,300 plus of you listening right now. Sure to God, there's a Capcom person in there somewhere, right? Right?
maybe,
right?
Maybe,
or maybe somebody knows somebody. You've got an uncle in Capcom. Come on.
my uncle works at Capcom.
Help your old Uncle Ian over here so that we can get Uncle Chuck and Uncle Capcom together.
Okay. Oh boy, Ian, tell us about the Bumble Comic Shop.
Bumble Comic Shop is your one-stop shop for comics that I have written that you want signed. Since the convention season is dubious for this year and straight up torpedoed last year, if you want a book signed by me, head over to bumbleking.com and look under the Shops tab, and you can find all sorts of books. And it's not just Sonic. I've got Star Wars. I've got My Little Pony. I've got My Little Pony meets Transformers. Mario, Minecraft. Minecraft is in there, for pity's sake. So head on over. See what I got. Grab yourself a book or two. Everything is based on convention prices, and exclusive or rare covers are priced the same as everything else. So if you want a cheap way to get some rarer books and get them signed, head on over to bumbleking.com.
Nice. Go check it out. All right, let's move on into the standard Q&A. Here's one from Tick Tick. I just learned that Vector saw the events of Knuckles Chaotix as a miracle from God. Is modern Vector religious?
I don't think so. I think part of that is the context of the translation. I don't think it's so much as he saw it in the Judeo-Christian version of God or as more of a miraculous event from divine beings. I think that's what the translation is going for.
It's also a Blues Brothers reference.
Yeah, that's the thing. Recently, art came out of early designs for Vector where he is very clearly designed after the Blues Brothers.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if that line is a reference that he's on a mission from God. if this whole thing, because the whole miracle from God thing has been circulating within the fandom for years.
Yeah.
If it's really been just a Blues Brothers joke this entire time,
I'm 99% sure it has been. It would make the most sense.
Oh my god, dude, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's
Whoever wrote that one in there. Nice job. That just wow. Yeah. I like it. It's canon. He's part of the Green Brothers. Because he's green. Anyway, next question is from Breezy. From your perspective, can SBO turn invisible, or is it just camouflage? In some of your previous works, it's a bit difficult to discern.
I treat it as full invisibility. And in Sonic Heroes, he's allowed to pass through laser grids while invisible. So it's possibly intangibility? I mean, you could argue that he's bending the light around his body, so the laser being light would also bend around his body, but then you're trying to apply actual thought and physics to these cartoon superpowers. So,
and then in Chaotix, he goes through color changes. He has a color changing palette all the time. So.
I love that idle animation.
I do. Awesome. I do. It's cool, but it's something that's never come up again. He's just
I know,
purple.
it makes me sad.
He's just purple now. Next up, question from Godzilla. If Julie Sue were to have a Wispin, what kind of wisp would she use? I see her using a spike minigun a la Smithy from the Diamond Cutters with glee.
Oh, she might enjoy some heavy machinery, but she only had like a 2-barrel pistol for the most part. So I imagine it would be like a simple cyan laser pistol.
Pew, pew.
And she and the cyan wisp can give condescending glares to everybody. It would work.
Yeah. I'm into it. And our next question comes from Sun Fritz. Earlier this year, the Lock and Key series, based on the IDW Comics of the same name, launched on Netflix and has been quite successful. And it got me thinking about the IDW Sonic comics and the TMNT comics. If Netflix approached you on adapting either of them for their platform, what changes would you do, if any, to make them fit the TV style format?
I can't really speak to Ninja Turtles because, number one, I fell behind on reading it again. I kind of like fall off the wagon for a year or two, and then it's like, oh, I got to binge 25 issues and catch up. And it's been so long since I've contributed to it. I don't know if I could really say. As for IDW Sonic, that thing's almost already built for television.
Almost, yeah.
The 2 arcs I wrote, I approached it kind of as an episodic shonen manga almost in terms of construction. So, each individual issue is kind of bite-sized. It tells a story. It's got a high action quotient. It has an overarching plot, but each individual story is pretty self-contained. I don't think you'd really need to edit or adapt it that much. Netflix, call me. We'll do lunch.
They'll give you 2 seasons, and then it'll be canceled. And they're already doing a Sonic cartoon thing, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's that too. That is not based on the IDW books.
No. Nope. Next up, Johnny Be Good. A while ago, Ian stated in a Q&A that Robotnik made power gems artificially. I was curious if this was mentioned in the Chaotic special, but to my surprise, it was not. Heavy only said Robotnik was using power gems and the 2 robots stole some for the heroes to have. The prison camp Mighty Ray and Fiona were in was stated to be a power gem mine in the CSE, implying they occurred naturally. A funky power gem was the reason Ray was frozen in time, but I think the CSE glossed over that for brevity. Does this alter your take on what power gems were? Was the mine a factory for artificial gems? Or did Robotnik start making his own when the natural reserves went dry? That's not even touching on what made power gems different from old Chaos Emerald / Chaos drives, which was confusing. Is there a noticeable difference?
Okay, first, Johnny, you caught me. I made a mistake. Oh,
no!
And this is old canon stuff that I haven't had to catalog in a long time. So I could have sworn there's something in the Chaotix special that mentions that they're fabricated, or maybe it's another issue along the line that says it could be contradictory continuity. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a long time. So clearly you did your research and your homework, so I'm going to defer to you on that and just say, I was wrong, and they weren't artificial. Oopsie doodle. As for what differences they have to the Chaos Emeralds and Chaos Drives, I don't know. Their power was so poorly defined and they were so seldomly used. I don't think they had defined limits. Like, just going off the top of my head, Knuckles grows big off of one. Shard used it as a battery so he could pull off some crazy stunts. Basically, an unlimited power supply. Ray was frozen in time. I think those are the only times we've actually seen them used.
They weren't used very often.
I mean, I guess they were used to fuel the amusement park, because why else would they be part of... I don't know. But I guess they just give a general power boost, whereas Chaos Emeralds can literally warp reality? Question mark?
Who knows?
In that regard, I guess Chaos Drives just are more or less the same thing. They just seem to be a power source.
They drive chaos.
Yeah.
It's right in their name. All right, we got one last question. The final question of this week's episode comes to us courtesy of Afro Luffy X. Do you think Sonic & Co. can use some form of aura manipulation or spirit energy of some way? Similar in the way how it's used in Battle Shonen? Because how did Sonic even manage to use other techniques like the boost, for example? Do you think he learned how to use aura at some point? Or, he probably did it on the fly and doesn't even question about it?
I kind of hope we don't get into spirit manipulation, key manipulation, whatever you want to call it, with Sonic, just because once you let that tiger out of the cage, you're not going to put it back in. And it becomes an issue. If it's what your Battle Shonen is built around, sure, that's fine. It's a nice excuse for superhuman abilities and shooting lasers and whatnot. But introducing it into Sonic as it is, I would kind of prefer they didn't. I think it's arguable that it's already kind of there in the form of chaos energy. Like, where does Shadow get his oomph? It seems to be natural. It seems to be kind of chaos-based. Where does Silver get his psychokinesis from? Is it just something he generates? And like you mentioned, Afro, where does Sonic get his boost from? His speed seems to be this kind of magical force at this point, given that it can recreate time from the void.
I think it comes from the Speed Force.
No. So, how is Sonic able to do what he does? I think it just kind of comes down to he does it. There isn't really a in-universe explanation. That might be something we have to sit down and hammer out at some point. But for me, if you get into energy manipulation, there needs to be a rule set. There has to be something that can be universally applied to the universe that you're working with, because otherwise it just becomes an easy out for any new power or gimmick, and it loses any meaning, any narrative importance. Even in Dragon Ball, which is infamous for its power creep, and by creep I mean leaps of bounds, it still, at least up through the Frieza saga, arguably into Cell, had some basis. You had physical limits. You had to train to get to a certain point. You had to learn techniques to funnel that energy to create certain effects. And when you get into stuff like the Super Saiyans, you have to physically transform into another physical state to obtain higher power. So in that regard, it was a pretty tight-ish system. And then, once we get into Super Saiyan 2 and beyond, then it starts to lose all meaning, and then we get God and Super Saiyan Blue and blah, 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 at which point the numbers are meaningless. Full Metal Alchemist, I think, is one of the best systems, where they're conjuring all sorts of crazy stuff, but it has to come from somewhere. The rule of equivalent exchange is thematic to the protagonist's journey, to the villain's ultimate goal, to their origin, to what's happening in the macro sense of the story. It's such a great series overall. It's so wonderfully crafted. But you still have to sacrifice something to get that result. And the characters who are pulling off some of the crazier stunts have sacrificed a great deal or have found workarounds to give themselves that extra edge, which is why you don't see everyone on the street just alchemizing anything out of everything. So if Sonic does go the route of aura, ki, energy, whatever, I would hope that it's done in a way that is applied universally and is folded into the narrative that we've seen thus far. It's used to add to the universe and isn't just used as a lazy excuse for Tails to shoot lasers out of his eyes now or something, Not saying it wouldn't be cool to fly his Tails and do a strafing run, but I don't think the series needs it.
Sega, I hope you're not listening.
Hmm?
I said, Sega, I hope you're not listening. Yeah.
Uncle Sega, don't listen to that. Uncle Capcom, though, you give me a call.
Yeah, you can do laser eyes in Mega Man. It's fine. No big deal there. But not in Sonic. We don't need that. Unless it's like robot laser eyes. That's probably okay. Anyway, that's going to do it for the questions. And that's going to do it for this episode of the BumbleKast.
First episode of the year. Holy mackerel.
Yay! 2021 is here. And just don't poke it with a stick or anything. Don't do anything rash. Don't do anything rash. Just tiptoe around it. It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Before we wrap up this show, we're going to do what we always do and give a big shout out to all the people who make this show possible. Thank you to all you lovely patrons, including Daniel H., Alex P., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Samuel P., Sam Cybercat, Robotnik Holmes, Mike B., Justin G., Torchbound, Coupling Crew 128, Duaz Dizdin, Diane W., Scruffy Mac, Chris A., Andrew D., John M., Dawn B., Yami M., Lee H.K., Lisa M., Chevelle, Silly String, Decoro, Sony, Salute Your Cat, Dave M., Justin S., Blue Title Gamer, Invade Turbo Tunis, Overthinking Films, Tick Tick, Final Neil, Papa Tripadopoulos, Off, Noni, Degama F. Wow, Jonathan D., PC the Unicorn, William D., Rachel W., Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Preston M., Piggy Bank, Daniel B., J. Frost, Blue Mickey Mouse, Bradley TT, Jonathan L., Owen BD, Dadler the Dalek, Somewhat Gooey, Chib, Sapphire Scarletta, Turbo, and Jason N.
Man, that list is getting long.
It is.
Man.
Remember when I tried to do this on one voice and could fail? Yeah, not happening now.
It's not happening now. One breath, nope. Need at least 2, if not 3. Man, you guys are awesome. Yeah, big thanks to Scurvy, Pirate Hog, and Renard Pixel as well, who donated on Ko-fi this week. Thank you, guys. All right, where can people find you on the internet again?
Find me on Twitter at Ian Flynn BKC. Look at my personal website at bumbleking.com, which has the comic shop, FAQs, and a whole bunch of stuff. And check out my web series, Drogoon. That's DROGUNE.com, drawn by Sonic veteran Adam Bryce Thomas. We're switching our release schedule to be end of the month page bombs instead of weekly. So, you're not going to see anything new for a few weeks here, but you can catch up on all 50 plus pages right now if you haven't read it yet. Also subscribe to us for free on Webtoon or become a patron over at patreon.com/Drogoon to get monthly gift art as well as weekly lore pages. Kyle, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB. You can also head on over to kngi.org where you can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure. You can also find all the links to the various podcast feeds over there as well. And you can listen to my other show, Nitro Game Injection, which streams live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can listen to the live show over there, and you can also find all the archived episodes of that, all 440 of them, 440. Ooh, boy. If you enjoy video game music, you enjoy remixed video game music, and you want to learn more about some of the people who make that remixed video game music, a lot of the fan-made, community-driven stuff, head on over there and check that show out. I play a lot of Sonic music, so why not? You should do it. You should do it.
You absolutely should. If you want to contact the show in any way, contact us on Twitter at BumbleKast, email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com, and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, our YouTube channel, and KNGI.org.
Don't forget to also check out the Bumble store, shop.spreadshirt.com/BumbleStore. You can find all sorts of Bumble items over there, and you can get our faces put on them. The Knowing Smile, hashtag Knowing Smile image is up there, so get it while it's hot. Get it while it's hot. It's there now, so you can get it put on all sorts of stuff. You can have a Knowing Smile mug. You can have a Knowing Smile shirt. You probably have a Knowing Smile hat.
Should put it on a Knowing Smile mask.
They
can't see you, but they know what you're doing.
Indeed. And don't forget to also check out the Bumble Comic Shop over at bumbleking.com as well.
You can also catch us Sundays streaming BumbleKast Gaming live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/BumbleKast Gaming. It's usually Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Subscribe to us on Twitch to make sure you don't miss an episode, or keep an eye on Twitter for announcements of special events.
Yes. And it's a follow on Twitch. A subscription on Twitch is giving us money, which you're free to do.
Both? I ain't going to complain.
I'm not going to complain either. But yeah, it's weird. They use the same terminology for different things on the internet. You guys are confusing us poor old people.
By God, I will finish streaming Spider-Man within the next year.
Okay, good. 2021. There's your goal for this year. There's
finish
your resolution.
A game that's already old.
To finish the game they already released a remake of.
Oh, God.
Man, that was fast. We've gotten to the point where they're like not even wasting any time anymore. It's kind of sad.
You know, I had such aspirations for BumbleKast Gaming. We were going to be one of them big streaming channels with our affable commentary, and no, we got left in the dust real fast. Now it's just you kind of watch games with us if you want to, and we hope you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it gives us something to release throughout the week on YouTube to appease their algorithm, at least. For what that's worth. You know. keeps us relevant.
Hope treats y'all well. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. And we'll see you next week for more BumbleKasty goodness.
Ooh, 2021 is here. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Sorry for the sniffing and the snorting. I don't know what's going on.
That's okay. I edit it all out. You know how it goes. I might leave that one in.
No! Do not!
I will put that one at the end.
No! We just got followers. We don't want to lose them.
I don't know, man. I mean, really, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. These people will watch anything. Blank screen with the word BumbleKast on it, they'll watch it for an hour. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
I know you're too play game library is enormous.
It is absolutely, yeah. It's like, yeah.
But
what's up?
what you need to add to it right now is Hades.
Yeah, I know. It's on my list already.
Okay.
I don't physically own it, but it's on my wish list. I'm going to pick it up eventually.
I picked it up because it was discounted for the holiday, and oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
I am intimidated by how well written it is.
It looks astounding, but I mean, it's Supergiant Games. I expected nothing less.
Oh yeah, it is.
The soundtrack, fantastic. Yes, it looks great.
I finish a room and all the layers drop out except for the bass line, and I'm like, oh, this is Kyle's game. Kyle must play this. Yeah, because you're searching the room for collectibles, and just the bass line is going do 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 do. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I need to get caught up. I loved Bastion. Bastion was their first game, came out years ago.
Bastion I enjoyed, but the movement was a little slow for me, and it required you to aim, and I'm not that great at it.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly has its issues. It has some growing pains because it was their very first game,
Yeah, and it was still spectacular. Hades is everything Bastion was dialed up to 11.
Yeah, yep. Just looking at it,
so freaking exquisite, and I don't know, it seems like it's tailor-made for my own neuroses because I get super uptight about performing well.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire premise of the game is you're going to die. And dying allows you to advance the story. So you don't want to succeed every time. If you succeed, you progress. But if you die, you also progress.
Yeah.
So I cannot stress about performing well or performing poorly. If I have a bad loadout, if the lizard brain isn't kicking in and I'm not like fighting all over the place, it's okay. I'm just going to go back to the start and I'm going to get some other stuff done. It's going to be fine. If I get further, oh, well, that's cool. I've succeeded. It's so nice, Kyle. It's the most relaxing game I've ever played. And my hand hurts from pressing the buttons so much. It's just jump all over the place. Shoot, kill, maim, dodge. So relaxing.
That sounds like my game. Exactly. It does sound like a game for me. I still need to play Transistor and Pyre. I've played a tiny bit of Transistor. I want to stream Transistor, but that was my thought, was to stream Transistor. And then Pyre, I don't think I even own that either. I think that's something maybe I do by now. I might have gotten it for free in a giveaway thing.
Oh wow.
Or something recently. No, I do not have Pyre. Never mind. It's another one on my wish list. Yeah, it wasn't in a bundle or anything. So, but yeah, I would love to, definitely love to play through all those, because Supergiant, every time I see something Supergiant, I'm like, yes, that's beautiful. That's glorious. The music is fantastic. I need to play it. And Bastion's the other one I've finished. I feel kind of bad.